On November 9th, 2025, observatories around the world witnessed something that shouldn't exist. From the Atacama Desert to the Canary Islands, every major telescope tracking the interstellar object 3I Atlas recorded the same impossible event. A burst of light that defied physics, synchronized across continents with precision that made seasoned astronomers question everything they thought they knew about space. What happened that night wasn't just unusual, it was unprecedented. And the implications of what we discovered have quietly shaken the foundations of modern astrophysics. This is the story of how one object, travelling from beyond our solar system, managed to coordinate a display that no natural phenomenon should be capable of producing. But before we dive into the anomaly that has researchers whispering behind closed doors, we need to understand what makes 3I Atlas so different from anything we've seen before. Because this wasn't the first time this mysterious visitor had broken the rules of physics. 3I Atlas first appeared on our radar as just another interstellar wanderer, similar to the famous Oumuamua that captured headlines years earlier. These objects are incredibly rare, visitors from distant star systems that briefly pass through our solar neighbourhood before disappearing back into the cosmic void. Most follow predictable paths, obey gravitational laws, and behave exactly as our models suggest they should. 3I Atlas was different from the moment we started tracking it. Its trajectory showed subtle irregularities that couldn't be explained by solar radiation pressure or gravitational influences. It pulsed with a faint but regular rhythm that reminded some scientists of a heartbeat. Most puzzling of all, it seemed to be responding to solar activity in ways that natural objects simply don't. For months, these anomalies were dismissed as measurement errors or instrument calibration issues. After all, the idea that a chunk of rock and ice could exhibit controlled behaviour was scientifically unthinkable. But as data accumulated from observatories worldwide, a pattern emerged that was impossible to ignore. The object's brightness varied in perfect mathematical ratios. Its thermal output defied conventional physics, and most disturbing of all, it appeared to be adjusting its own trajectory with microscopic precision, as if guided by some internal mechanism. Then came November 9th, and everything changed. At exactly 3:41 and 27 seconds Universal Coordinated Time, every telescope with 3I Atlas in view recorded a synchronized flash of light. Not the chaotic burst you'd expect from a comet encountering solar radiation, but something far more structured and deliberate. The emission lasted less than 4 seconds, but those 4 seconds contained more questions than answers. The light wavelength fell into a gap where no known atomic transition should exist. It was too precise, too stable, and too perfectly timed to be natural. Yet there it was, recorded simultaneously by instruments separated by thousands of miles. Dr. Sarah Chen at Cambridge University was among the first to realise the magnitude of what they were seeing. Her team's initial analysis revealed harmonic patterns within the light that resembled engineered signals more than random stellar phenomena. The mathematical ratios were so perfect they seemed almost artificial. But the synchronized timing was what truly shocked the scientific community. In normal circumstances, even signals travelling at light speed appear staggered when recorded by different observatories due to atmospheric interference and geographical distance. Here, every timestamp matched down to the microsecond, despite the instruments operating on completely independent systems. This level of precision should be impossible without deliberate coordination. It suggested that whatever was happening with 3I Atlas somehow accounted for the exact position of every observer on Earth, compensating for light travel time with computational accuracy that defied explanation. The immediate response was denial. Researchers checked and rechecked their instruments, assuming some kind of systematic error had corrupted the data. Solar interference, calibration failures, even coordinated equipment malfunctions were all considered more plausible than the alternative. But as hours passed and more data poured in, the evidence became undeniable. The synchronization was real, the light emission was genuine, and the implications were staggering. What made the situation even more unsettling was the discovery of fine oscillations within the light itself. When scientists decomposed the signal, they found microscopic modulations that repeated at exact harmonic intervals. It was as if the light carried an underlying rhythm, a hidden structure that suggested controlled emission rather than random stellar activity. The energy calculations only deepened the mystery. based on the emission's intensity and 3i Atlas's estimated distance, the power output was roughly 1/3 that of a standard comet outburst. Significant, but contained. The problem wasn't the magnitude of the energy release, but its surgical precision. The wavelength remained stable to within 1 part in a billion throughout the entire event. That kind of engineering-level stability simply doesn't exist in nature. No known natural process can maintain such precise output over even short periods. Yet 3i Atlas had done exactly that while being observed by dozens of instruments across multiple continents. As word of the anomaly spread through research networks, debates erupted about possible explanations. Some argued for exotic plasma interactions or magnetic reconnection events occurring in metallic vapor fields around the object. Others suggested quantum coherence effects similar to those seen in laboratory experiments, but scaled up to astronomical proportions. Every theory had fatal flaws. Plasma interactions produce chaotic emissions, not harmonic order. Quantum coherence at such scales violates everything we know about physics, and none of the proposed mechanisms could explain the global synchronization that defined the event. Perhaps most disturbing was the growing evidence that 3i Atlas had been building toward this moment for weeks. When researchers went back through archived data, they found subtle spectral irregularities dating to late October. Faint anomalies that had been easily dismissed at the time now appeared to be precursors, steps in a gradual progression toward the November 9th event. Plotted together, these earlier disturbances formed a rising curve of coherence, as if 3i Atlas had been fine-tuning its emission capabilities, adjusting parameters toward a specific output over time. The pattern suggested not random fluctuation, but systematic preparation. The European Space Agency's remote sensing team noticed something else that chilled veteran observers. The emission had coincided perfectly with a local dip in solar wind intensity, creating the cleanest possible conditions for observation. Whether this timing was coincidental or coordinated remained an open question that no one wanted to answer publicly. By sunrise on November the 9th, the night's confusion had evolved into methodical disbelief. Observatory directors found themselves in the unprecedented position of having to verify data that challenged the fundamental assumptions of their field. The synchronization was perfect, the emission was structured, and the timing suggested a level of awareness that natural objects shouldn't possess. Behind closed doors, a new vocabulary began emerging in scientific discussions. Terms like coherent modulation and structured emission replaced the casual language typically used to describe celestial phenomena. The object that had once been casually referred to as an interstellar comet was now being discussed with the caution reserved for genuinely unknown phenomena. The implications extended far beyond astronomy. If 3i Atlas could coordinate its behavior across vast distances, accounting for the positions of Earth-based observers with computational precision, it raised questions about the nature of intelligence itself. The line between natural process and artificial system had become uncomfortably blurred. What happened next would push that boundary even further, because the synchronized flash was just the beginning of a sequence of events that would force humanity to confront the possibility that we might not be alone in the universe after all. As observatories worldwide began comparing their data in detail, patterns emerged that suggested the November 9th event was far more complex than initially realized. The light emission, it turned out, was just one component of a multi-layered phenomenon that had affected not only optical instruments, but magnetic field detectors, radio telescopes, and even the digital systems used to record the observations. The story of 3i Atlas was about to take a turn that would challenge everything we thought we knew about interstellar visitors and raise questions that the scientific community is still grappling with today. Within hours of the synchronized flash, a second anomaly emerged that would prove even more unsettling than the first. As 3i Atlas continued its journey through the outer solar system, observatories detected something that defied every known law of thermodynamics. The object was simultaneously heating up and cooling down, depending on which instruments were used to observe it. The James Webb Space Telescope's infrared spectrometer showed 3i Atlas cooling by several degrees Kelvin during what should have been its brightest emission phase. This made no physical sense. Luminous bodies brighten when they heat up, not when they cool down. Yet the data was unambiguous. recorded with the precision that only space-based instruments can provide. At the same time, the solar orbiter and other probes equipped with ultraviolet sensors recorded the exact opposite. Their instruments showed 3I Atlas growing significantly hotter during the same time period when Webb detected cooling. It was as if two completely different objects were being observed, each behaving according to contradictory physical laws. The implications were staggering. No known material can selectively emit or absorb energy across different wavelengths in such a controlled manner. Even the most advanced metamaterials created in laboratories exhibit uniform thermal transitions across the electromagnetic spectrum. Yet 3I Atlas appeared to be partitioning energy internally, amplifying certain frequencies while suppressing others. Dr. Eleanor Rodriguez at the Harvard Astrophysics Center quietly began discussing what she called energy phase segregation. The concept suggested that something within 3I Atlas was actively managing thermal flow, routing high-frequency radiation outward while containing low-frequency heat emission. The closest terrestrial analogy would be a laser cavity or photonic crystal, but scaled up to astronomical proportions. The temperature maps reconstructed from multiple spectral observations revealed another impossible detail. The cooling zones corresponded exactly to the regions of highest light emission. The brightest parts of 3I Atlas were paradoxically its coldest areas, a complete inversion of Stefan Boltzmann law that governs thermal radiation. This pattern repeated with clockwork precision. After each rhythmic pulse of light, the hot and cold regions would migrate across the object's surface, trading places in what appeared to be coordinated circulation. Scientists began describing it as thermal breathing, a deliberate cycle that synchronized perfectly with the light emissions. When analysts measured the timing of these temperature shifts, they discovered something that sent chills through research teams worldwide. The delay between light pulse and thermal redistribution matched exactly the time it would take energy to travel across a structure roughly 200 meters wide, the estimated size of 3I Atlas. This wasn't random fluctuation. The timing corresponded precisely to the object's physical dimensions, suggesting that whatever mechanism controlled the emissions operated on a scale proportional to the entire body. It was as if 3I Atlas contained an organized system capable of managing energy distribution across its entire structure. The radio astronomy community added another piece to this increasingly disturbing puzzle. Multiple observatories detected faint electromagnetic patterns around 60 MHz, exactly one harmonic below the optical pulse frequency. While not strong enough to classify as intentional transmission, these signals proved that the thermal anomalies were accompanied by coordinated electromagnetic field modulation. In effect, 3I Atlas wasn't just defying thermal equilibrium, it was actively controlling its electromagnetic environment, creating localized field disturbances that rippled outward into surrounding space. The object had somehow become the center of its own miniature electromagnetic ecosystem. Ground-based amateur astronomers provided crucial confirmation that ruled out instrument error once and for all. Their smaller telescopes, crude compared to professional arrays, recorded the same thermal paradox with shocking consistency. Visible light remained stable, while infrared signatures faded in perfect synchronization across dozens of independent observation sites. This grassroots verification eliminated the last refuge of skepticism. Whatever was happening with 3I Atlas was real, measurable, and completely unprecedented in the annals of astronomy. The object was exhibiting behavior that belonged more to engineered systems than natural celestial bodies. As night fell across the Western Hemisphere, professional observatories from Chile to Hawaii began detecting visual confirmation of something that would haunt observers for months to come. Through adaptive optics, 3I Atlas didn't shimmer like a typical comet or asteroid. Instead, its glow had sharp, defined edges, as if the light itself was being shaped or contained by invisible boundaries. Some astronomers described witnessing what appeared to be a breathing sphere, expanding and contracting by microscopic amounts with each pulse cycle. The oscillation was mathematically measurable despite being virtually imperceptible to the naked eye, and it coincided perfectly with the previously documented temperature and electromagnetic cycles. The discovery that would truly revolutionize our understanding came from an unexpected source. Several radio observatories reported transient electromagnetic disturbances in Earth's upper atmosphere that synchronized perfectly with 3I Atlas's optical pulses. These weren't typical ionospheric echoes from solar radiation, but narrow band reflections that matched the exact frequency modulation detected in the object's emissions. For the first time in recorded history, an object beyond the orbit of Mars was visibly affecting electromagnetic behavior in Earth's atmosphere. The energy arriving from 3I Atlas was somehow interacting with our planet's magnetic field in real time, creating a faint but measurable feedback effect between the interstellar visitor and Earth itself. The delay measurements were precise and consistent. The reflections appeared exactly 1.3 seconds after each pulse, the time required for light to travel from 3I Atlas to Earth and bounce back through the ionosphere. This suggested that the pulses carried enough coherence to survive the journey across millions of kilometers, strike our atmosphere, and return as measurable echoes. High-speed photometry revealed yet another layer of complexity. Nested within the main pulse rhythm were smaller, faster fluctuations that lasted mere fractions of a second, but repeated at precise intervals across multiple observatories. The ratio between the primary pulse and these subpulses was exactly 9:1, the same harmonic structure that had been identified in earlier spectral analysis. This discovery connected every anomaly into a single terrifying pattern. The synchronization event, the rhythmic modulation, the temperature inversions, and now the atmospheric interactions were all operating with mathematical precision across multiple physical domains. The repetition was too structured to be random, yet too subtle to represent obvious communication. Spectroscopic imaging added the final piece to this cosmic puzzle. Fine filaments of ionized gas were detected around 3I Atlas, glowing faintly in ultraviolet light. Unlike a comet's tail, which streams away from the sun due to radiation pressure, these filaments moved inward, spiraling toward the object's core in defiance of all known physics. The material wasn't being pushed away by solar wind as expected. Instead, it appeared to be drawn back toward 3I Atlas, as if the object was generating its own localized magnetic containment field. Some physicists speculated that the interstellar visitor might be pulling ionized particles toward itself through controlled electromagnetic manipulation. As dawn approached across Europe, magnetometer stations from Scandinavia to South Africa began recording synchronized oscillations in Earth's magnetic field. The readings were small, barely above baseline noise, but they pulsed in exact synchronization with 3I Atlas's light rhythm. For the first time, an interstellar object was demonstrably affecting our planet's geomagnetic environment. The global coordination was impossible to dismiss. Magnetometer stations operating under completely different conditions, using independent calibration systems, all showed identical timing signatures. This wasn't coincidence or solar interference. It was a genuine magnetic ripple that arrived every 9 minutes with surgical precision. The discovery forced researchers to confront a question that had been growing since the initial synchronization event. Could 3I Atlas actually be interacting directly with Earth across the vast emptiness of space? The notion seemed absurd, yet the data was undeniable. The object's emissions were not only reaching Earth's ionosphere, but leaving a measurable fingerprint in our planet's magnetic envelope. Analysis of the delay between pulse emission and magnetic response revealed something even more disturbing. The magnetic ripples appeared nearly 2 minutes ahead of schedule, arriving before a simple light-speed reflection should have been possible. This wasn't a bounce or echo in the conventional sense. Something in 3I Atlas's emissions was coupling directly to Earth's magnetic field, bypassing the physical distance between them through mechanisms that current physics cannot explain. What scientists were observing wasn't reflection in any traditional sense, but resonance. A sympathetic vibration linking two distant systems across millions of kilometers of empty space. Similar effects exist at microscopic scales in quantum mechanics, but never across astronomical distances. The idea that an interstellar object could synchronize with Earth's geomagnetic frequencies challenged fundamental assumptions about how the universe operates. Satellite-based magnetometers provided the most chilling discovery of all. The induced magnetic oscillations weren't uniform across Earth's surface. They followed a specific longitudinal pattern, strongest above the Pacific Ocean and weakest near the poles. This distribution perfectly mirrored the path of the solar wind, suggesting that 3I Atlas was somehow modulating the stream of charged particles flowing from our Sun. The energy involved was minuscule by cosmic standards, yet its coordination implied either natural precision beyond anything previously observed, or something far more unsettling, The pulse from 3i Atlas appeared to be riding the Sun's magnetic field lines, like information travelling through a vast interplanetary network, with Earth positioned as an unintended receiver in this cosmic communication system. By the time government agencies began to take notice, the scientific community had already fractured into competing factions. Some insisted on natural explanations, no matter how unlikely or incomplete. Others quietly acknowledged that the accumulated evidence pointed towards something that challenged the very foundations of our understanding about what's possible in the universe. The debate was no longer about whether something extraordinary had occurred. The question had become whether humanity was prepared to accept the implications of what 3i Atlas represented, and what its presence in our solar system might mean for everything we thought we knew about our place in the cosmos. The most disturbing revelation was yet to come. As scientists worldwide struggled to make sense of the impossible thermal readings and magnetic interactions, their digital systems began experiencing something that would forever change how we think about the relationship between observer and observed. It started at the European Southern Observatory at exactly 3:07 UTC on November 10th. Their automated archiving system, responsible for storing live telescope data, suddenly froze mid-transfer. Technicians initially assumed a routine server crash, but when they rebooted the system, they discovered something that defied all logic. The previous 12 hours of 3i Atlas observation data were completely intact but utterly unreadable. Every file, from spectral logs to magnetometer readings, displayed identical checksum errors. Not random corruption, but precise systematic alteration that affected every single byte in exactly the same way. Within 30 minutes, observatories in Hawaii, Chile, and Japan reported identical failures. Different hardware manufacturers, different encryption protocols, different operating systems, yet the corruption pattern was absolutely uniform. Each damaged file contained the same checksum error, an integer offset by exactly 8,192 bytes. The precision was terrifying. Natural data corruption has recognizable signatures, random bit flips, interrupted file streams, deleted headers. This was something entirely different. Every corrupted segment corresponded exactly to the timestamps when 3i Atlas had exhibited its synchronized behavior, as if whatever had passed through space had also passed through the digital infrastructure observing it. Cybersecurity teams rushed to investigate, expecting to find evidence of coordinated intrusion. Instead, they found something worse. No external access logs, no unusual network activity, no administrative overrides. The data hadn't been stolen or deleted. It had been altered in place, simultaneously, across isolated systems that had no communication pathways between them. One analyst described the corruption pattern as behaving like radiation rather than malicious code. The alteration had spread through storage media with the characteristics of electromagnetic interference, but with surgical precision that no natural phenomenon could produce. The mystery deepened when attempts to restore the files from offline backup servers revealed the same corruption. Even optical disks recorded days earlier now produced identical checksum errors when accessed. Somehow, the pattern had propagated backward through storage media, defying basic principles of causality and information theory. When researchers at CERN analyzed the corrupted data streams as binary waveforms, they discovered a faint rhythm embedded within the damaged sections. The pattern repeated every 9 minutes, perfectly matching 3i Atlas's pulse cycle. The corrupted bits weren't random failures, they formed a coherent sequence that was identical across every affected system worldwide. In essence, every observatory's digital storage now contained what appeared to be a perfect copy of 3i Atlas's pulse signature, embedded at the deepest level of their data infrastructure. No electromagnetic storm, solar flare, or radiation event could create such a precise global pattern. Whatever had caused this was organized, deliberate, and seemingly selective. The selectivity was perhaps the most chilling aspect. Only files containing active 3i Atlas observation data were affected. Files recording other celestial objects remained perfectly intact, suggesting that the corruption somehow recognized and targeted specific content related to the interstellar visitor. As word of the data anomaly spread through private research channels, several laboratories made a disturbing discovery. When they disconnected their telescopes from automated networks and reverted to analog observation methods, 3i Atlas appeared completely normal on photographic plates. The mysterious behaviour only manifested when the data was converted to digital format for analysis. This discovery gave birth to a radical hypothesis that few scientists dared voice publicly. Perhaps 3i Atlas wasn't merely emitting electromagnetic energy, but was somehow capable of manipulating information itself. The structured emissions might be inducing resonance within electronic systems, subtle enough to alter data integrity without damaging hardware. Dr. Sarah Chen's team at Cambridge made a breakthrough that sent shockwaves through the remaining research networks. When they combined corrupted binary data from multiple observatories, the damaged sections aligned like pieces of a vast puzzle. Rendered visually, they formed a symmetrical waveform with sharp inflection points spaced in the same harmonic ratios found in 3i Atlas's light emissions and magnetic oscillations. The realization spread through encrypted research channels like wildfire. The data corruption wasn't a malfunction or accident, it was replication. 3i Atlas had somehow imprinted its behavioral signature across every system that studied it, creating copies of its pattern embedded within Earth's digital infrastructure. The implications were staggering. If accurate, it meant that the act of observing 3i Atlas had fundamentally altered the observer, turning Earth's scientific instruments into carriers of whatever phenomenon the interstellar object represented. By nightfall, entire observatory networks began going offline, citing data quarantine protocols. The phrase appeared repeatedly in the internal communications, a euphemistic way of acknowledging what many researchers feared but none dared say openly, that the data itself might be somehow alive, or at least capable of self-propagation. Communication between observatories became increasingly cautious. Digital data sharing ceased entirely, replaced by encrypted physical transfers and verbal summaries. The few scientists still exchanging electronic files noticed something deeply unsettling. Some corrupted files were changing over time, slowly self-correcting into increasingly coherent sequences that no one could explain. The scientific community found itself facing an unprecedented crisis. Not only was 3i Atlas exhibiting impossible physical behaviour, but it appeared to be actively rewriting the digital records of its own observation. The boundary between natural phenomenon and information system had dissolved entirely. Government agencies responded with swift and coordinated action. Press releases from NASA, ESA and other space organizations arrived within hours of each other, all carrying nearly identical language about ongoing calibration reviews. The timing was too precise to be coincidental, and the message was unmistakably clear. Absolute silence until further notice. Public data streams that amateur astronomers relied on began failing systematically. NASA's solar observation feeds switched to archived footage. The Solar Dynamics Observatory's ultraviolet sensors went offline for maintenance. Within 24 hours, no public system anywhere on Earth was transmitting live data from 3i Atlas. Inside research facilities, the atmosphere grew heavy with unspoken dread. Teams that had collaborated for months suddenly stopped sharing even basic information. Server rooms were sealed under physical guard. Researchers who asked too many questions found themselves reassigned to unrelated projects or removed from internal communications entirely. New directives arrived marked with classifications that most scientists had never seen before. All corrupted data was to be catalogued under restricted protocols with no cloud storage, no remote access, and no discussion outside secured facilities. The implication was clear. Officials feared that the digital anomaly might somehow spread beyond the scientific community. Reports began surfacing from Harvard and other institutions about auxiliary systems exhibiting subtle malfunctions. Computers connected to observatory networks but not directly handling 3i Atlas data started showing small temporal irregularities. Clocks would lose seconds, then regain them in patterns that repeated every 9 minutes. When affected systems were isolated and powered down, the anomalies stopped immediately. The synchronization effect that had defined 3i Atlas from the beginning was migrating from observation instruments into supporting infrastructure, manifesting as real-time disruptions in the fundamental measurement of time itself. Rather than acknowledge this development publicly, observatory administrators classified it under environmental interference protocols. A small group of observatories in Chile, Spain and Australia formed what they privately called the Continuity Network. Using telescopes disconnected from power grids and recording data exclusively on photographic film, they maintained limited tracking of 3i Atlas using purely analog methods. Their findings confirmed that the object remained visible and active, though its luminosity had begun a gradual decline. More significantly, they detected subtle changes in 3I Atlas's apparent shape. The once roughly spherical object now appeared elongated, with brightness distributed along a new axis that shifted slightly each night. Frame-by-frame analysis revealed that these changes weren't random. The object seemed to be reconfiguring itself, internal layers moving in coordinated patterns that suggested active structural modification rather than natural fragmentation or thermal expansion. The discovery remained secret for less than a day before leaking through encrypted forums to the few scientists still willing to share findings anonymously. For those who saw the images, the implications were immediate and terrifying. The official blackout had bought time but not answers. 3. iAtlas was still evolving, still changing, and doing so while hidden from public view. Deep inside government data centers and classified research facilities, one truth had become undeniably clear to anyone with access to the complete record. The silence surrounding 3I Atlas wasn't meant to prevent public panic. It was designed to conceal how little anyone understood about what they were dealing with, and how completely it had already integrated itself into humanity's technological infrastructure. The interstellar visitor had done more than simply pass through our solar system. It had fundamentally altered the relationship between observation and reality, leaving behind questions that challenged everything we thought we knew about the nature of information, consciousness, and intelligence itself. As 3I Atlas continued its journey toward the outer reaches of the solar system, one fact remained constant across every secret report and classified analysis. Whatever this object represented, it had already changed us in ways we were only beginning to comprehend. What emerged from the analog observations would shatter the last vestiges of conventional explanation. The private observatory network, operating entirely outside digital systems, captured something that defied every principle of celestial mechanics. 3I Atlas was systematically transforming itself. The composite images revealed angular features where smooth curves had existed before. Faint ridges appeared across the object's surface, parallel and evenly spaced, radiating from a central axis like panels unfolding in deliberate sequence. Within the inner luminous region, the light distribution formed precise geometric patterns, lines intersecting at perfect 60-degree intervals. The geometry was unmistakable, hexagonal symmetry on an astronomical scale. Nature builds hexagons, but rarely with such mathematical perfection. Crystalline structures, honeycomb patterns, basalt columns all exhibit hexagonal forms, but they emerge from local chemical and physical processes. What 3I Atlas displayed was something far more organized, a transformation that progressed systematically across multiple observation cycles. Dr. Marcus Luhan's team at Harvard fed the structural data into three-dimensional reconstruction algorithms typically used for planetary mapping. The results revealed that the hexagonal patterns weren't merely surface decorations. They followed stress distribution lines consistent with internal load balancing, the kind of geometric optimization that occurs when a structure actively redistributes mass to maintain stability. The implications were staggering. 3I Atlas wasn't simply changing shape randomly. It was reconfiguring itself, adjusting internal architecture to maintain equilibrium as it traveled through varying gravitational and electromagnetic environments. Materials physicist Dr. Kenji Nakamura in Kyoto proposed what he cautiously termed phase state transformation. Certain exotic compounds can reorganize their molecular lattice structures under prolonged radiation exposure, shifting symmetry without melting or fragmenting. But no known natural body could undergo such controlled metamorphosis while maintaining structural integrity. The precision was impossible to dismiss. Every measurement revealed perfect mathematical relationships between the hexagonal dimensions and the object's earlier pulse frequencies. The spatial ratios matched exactly the harmonic intervals detected in the electromagnetic emissions, as if the physical structure was encoding the same mathematical principles found in its energy signatures. Geometry and signal had become unified in a way that suggested active coordination rather than coincidental alignment. The object's form appeared to be directly linked to its electromagnetic behavior, each aspect reinforcing and controlling the other in a feedback loop that operated across multiple physical domains. When filtered spectroscopy revealed distinct polarization patterns along the hexagonal ridges, the evidence for artificial construction became overwhelming. The variations corresponded to controlled light scattering, certain surfaces reflecting deliberately while others absorbed energy with surgical precision. This kind of directional optical behavior is characteristic of engineered metamaterials, not natural rock or ice. The hexagonal ridges displayed another impossible feature. They curved slightly inward, forming spiral patterns that converged toward the object's rotational axis. The design resembled a massive gyroscopic lattice, optimized for rotational stability, yet no rotation was detectable. The entire structure maintained perfect orientation despite varying solar radiation pressure. Computer simulations attempting to replicate this configuration produced a consistent result that chilled researchers across multiple institutions. The geometry distributed mechanical stress uniformly, minimizing internal strain to nearly zero. This wasn't random mineral formation shaped by cosmic forces. This was optimization at a level that implied conscious design. Independent physics researchers in Toronto published an anonymous analysis through peer-to-peer networks before government censorship could intervene. Their central conclusion was unambiguous. The observed hexagonal restructuring indicated deliberate harmonic stabilization, suggesting a system capable of monitoring and adjusting its own structural resonance. The paper vanished from public access within an hour, but not before screenshots circulated through encrypted channels, reaching the dwindling community of scientists still willing to share their findings. As the structural transformation continued, new observations revealed that the central axis was elongating, the overall shape narrowing, as if preparing for some kind of phase transition. The reflected light became increasingly polarized, producing rapid flickers invisible to casual observation, but easily measurable through photometric filters. Each flicker corresponded precisely with the 9-minute pulse interval that had defined 3i Atlas since the beginning. The object was maintaining its electromagnetic signature, even while undergoing dramatic physical reconfiguration, suggesting that the two phenomena were inseparably linked components of a larger system. Then, as abruptly as it had begun, the restructuring process slowed. The pulse weakened noticeably. The object's overall luminosity dropped to half its previous intensity before stabilizing at the reduced level. For a brief moment, researchers hoped the anomalous behavior might be ending. Instead, something far more significant was occurring. Deep within the classified data that remained uncorrupted, orbital mechanics specialists detected subtle but unmistakable changes in 3i Atlas's trajectory. The object's path through space had shifted by measurable degrees, a deviation impossible without external propulsion or internal mass redistribution. The discovery came simultaneously from multiple tracking stations. NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory found an unexpected increase in the object's perihelion distance, as if it had applied invisible braking to widen its solar orbit. The European Space Operations Centre detected the opposite effect, a slight inward deflection. When both measurements were combined, they revealed something unprecedented. 3i Atlas was oscillating its orbital position in perfect synchronization with its electromagnetic pulse cycle. The trajectory wasn't simply changing, it was being actively modulated with the same mathematical precision that characterized every other aspect of the object's behavior. Classical mechanics allows orbital changes through only two mechanisms: external forces or internal mass redistribution. No external forces could account for the observed pattern. Solar wind variations lack the directionality and consistency required. That left only one possibility that no scientist wanted to acknowledge publicly. 3i Atlas was changing its own center of mass through controlled internal reconfiguration. The hexagonal restructuring suddenly took on new significance. What had appeared to be surface transformation was actually a form of active mass management, allowing the object to steer itself through space without conventional propulsion. Each structural shift could subtly relocate internal mass, altering gravitational balance and redirecting momentum through pure geometric manipulation. Dr. Sarah Chen's team modelled this effect using harmonic resonance equations applied to charged plasma interactions. When the pulse frequency was correlated with solar wind density measurements, their simulation produced measurable trajectory drift that matched the real observations perfectly. The model suggested that the electromagnetic pulses weren't waste energy or random emissions. They were controlled magnetic field generators that interacted with charged particles in the solar wind to produce directional forces. combined with internal mass redistribution, these forces could compound over time to achieve significant orbital adjustments. What made this revelation truly disturbing wasn't the mechanism itself, but its precision. Natural processes produce noise, inconsistency, and random variation. 3i Atlas demonstrated smooth mathematical control as if following pre-programmed instructions. Over 12 hours of continuous observation, the object's velocity changed by exactly 0.002%, corresponding to a delta V of 3.88 meters per second. This level of precision matched the controlled acceleration burns used by spacecraft during orbital maneuvers, not the chaotic outgassing expected from natural comets. Analysts fed these parameters into orbital prediction software designed for artificial satellites. The results were astounding. 3i Atlas's new trajectory wasn't random or chaotic. It was optimized in ways that reduced solar radiation exposure by 3%, while stabilizing orbital inclination and positioning the object for intercept with a gravitational null zone between Earth and Mars. No natural object could calculate or achieve such efficiency through coincidence. The trajectory optimization required computational analysis of multiple gravitational fields, radiation pressure effects, and electromagnetic interactions across vast scales of space and time. Meanwhile, an independent review team noticed that the orbital shift had altered the timing of atmospheric reflections detected earlier. The ionospheric echoes began arriving a full second ahead of schedule, yet remained perfectly synchronized with the object's pulse cycle. The electromagnetic link between 3i Atlas and Earth had automatically compensated for the positional change. Whatever connected the interstellar visitor to our planet's magnetic field was adapting in real time, maintaining resonance despite changing physical circumstances. The system exhibited feedback characteristics that suggested active monitoring and adjustment rather than passive electromagnetic coupling. For many researchers, this represented a psychological breaking point. The accumulated evidence for controlled behavior had become impossible to rationalize through conventional explanations. The object displayed every characteristic of engineered intelligence: structured emissions, geometric optimization, trajectory control, and adaptive response to environmental changes. Yet acknowledging these implications would require admitting that humanity had encountered technology from beyond our solar system. The philosophical and practical consequences of such recognition were staggering enough to paralyze institutional response. At ESA headquarters, engineers conducted diagnostic tests on spacecraft that had been operating near 3i Atlas during the orbital adjustment period. They discovered that Solar Orbiter and Parker Solar Probe had experienced synchronized fluctuations in their orientation sensors, tiny torque deviations that matched the interstellar object's pulse timing exactly. The spacecraft themselves had briefly responded to forces that couldn't be identified or explained through conventional physics. Whatever mechanism 3i Atlas used to control its own motion had simultaneously affected human-built vehicles millions of kilometers away. Inside classified briefings that followed, a single theoretical framework dominated all discussion. If 3i Atlas could modulate its internal mass distribution through controlled geometric reconfiguration, it could generate localized gravitational gradients that enabled thrustless trajectory control. The concept belonged to theoretical propulsion research, not natural astronomy. The data revealed that 3i Atlas's new trajectory wasn't aimless wandering through space. Within days, if the current path continued, the object would cross the heliospheric current sheet, a turbulent boundary region where the Sun's magnetic field reverses polarity. This zone represents one of the most electromagnetically chaotic environments in the solar system. Crossing such a region would expose any ordinary object to destructive plasma flux, capable of disrupting or destroying conventional structures. Yet 3i Atlas appeared to be deliberately approaching this dangerous corridor, adjusting its geometry with apparent precision for the transition ahead. When asked privately why any system would seek such hazardous conditions, Dr. Chen provided a chilling assessment. The heliospheric current sheet represents the noisiest electromagnetic environment in our solar system, flooded with plasma interference that would mask virtually any signal from ordinary detection methods. If 3i Atlas intended to communicate with something beyond our solar system, or if it planned to disappear entirely from human observation, the current sheet would provide perfect concealment for either objective. tracking stations confirmed that the orbital drift was accelerating rather than stabilizing. The object's velocity curve showed rhythmic surges every 9 minutes, perfectly synchronized with its electromagnetic pulse cycle. 3I Atlas was no longer simply emitting energy according to some internal rhythm. It was propelling itself through space to that same mathematical beat. As the interstellar visitor approached the edge of the heliospheric boundary, researchers realized they were witnessing something unprecedented in human experience. The trajectory adjustments weren't random evolution or natural orbital decay. They represented intent made visible through physics, purpose encoded directly into motion across astronomical distances. The implications extended far beyond academic curiosity. If 3I Atlas possessed the capability to control its own path through space, its next movements could theoretically be directed toward any destination, including Earth itself. Though probability calculations still place collision risks at virtually zero, the simple fact that controlled navigation was possible redefined the object from passive celestial body to potential vehicle. Government response shifted immediately from scientific analysis to strategic assessment. The European Space Agency classified the situation as a Level 3 contingency, involving non-gravitational propulsion detection. NASA implemented communication restrictions pending interagency coordination. Even the carefully neutral language of official memos revealed underlying anxiety about the implications of controlled interstellar objects. Defense agencies requested emergency briefings focused not on scientific understanding, but on trajectory prediction and threat assessment. The distinction between natural phenomenon and artificial system had collapsed entirely, forcing policymakers to confront scenarios that existed only in theoretical frameworks and science fiction speculation. Yet for all the institutional panic occurring behind classified doors, the public remained completely unaware of these developments. Official data streams showed nothing unusual. Press inquiries received standardized responses about ongoing calibration procedures. The most significant discovery in human history was being systematically concealed from the people whose future it might fundamentally alter. As 3I Atlas continued its precisely controlled approach toward the heliospheric current sheet, one question dominated every secret analysis and classified report. If this object represented technology from another civilization, what was its ultimate purpose in our solar system? The answer to that question would determine whether humanity faced an opportunity for contact or something far more ominous. The questions that had haunted researchers since November 9th were about to receive answers that no one was prepared to accept. As 3I Atlas moved deeper into the heliospheric current sheet, its behavior entered a phase that would forever change how humanity viewed its place in the universe. The transformation began subtly, almost imperceptibly. The object's steady electromagnetic pulse, which had maintained its 9-minute rhythm with mechanical precision for weeks, started to broaden. The sharp, discrete bursts gradually expanded into continuous waves that swept across multiple frequency bands simultaneously. What emerged wasn't the chaotic noise you'd expect from an object entering one of the solar system's most turbulent regions. Instead, 3I Atlas began producing what could only be described as a structured transmission, a layered signal that combined optical, radio, and plasma wave components into a unified broadcast that defied every principle of natural electromagnetic behavior. The signal wasn't directed toward Earth or any specific target. It propagated omnidirectionally, using the solar system itself as a massive resonating chamber. Every monitoring station within range detected the same steady background hum, faint but persistent, like a heartbeat embedded in the fabric of interplanetary space. Dr. Martinez at the Deep Space Network facility in Madrid was among the first to recognize the true scope of what they were observing. The signal wasn't simply broadcasting into empty space, it was synchronizing with the sun's magnetic field rotation, spreading harmonic patterns through the heliospheric field lines that reached every corner of our solar system. The interference began appearing in communications with distant spacecraft. Probes near Jupiter and Saturn reported systematic disruptions in their telemetry streams, but the corruption followed the same mathematical patterns that had characterized 3I Atlas from the beginning. The same triadic harmonics, the same precise ratios, now embedded in signals across billions of kilometers of space. It was as if the interstellar visitor had infected the solar system's entire electromagnetic environment with its signature, writing itself into the background radiation that permeates the space between planets. Every satellite, every probe, every monitoring station was now carrying traces of 3i Atlas's pattern, whether they were observing the object directly or not. The Lovell radio telescope in England detected the most disturbing development of all. The signal wasn't only propagating outward from 3i Atlas, it was also appearing within Earth's magnetosphere, emerging from our planet's own magnetic field, as if the transmission had somehow taken root in the very structure that protects us from cosmic radiation. Ground-based magnetometers from Scandinavia to Antarctica began recording oscillations that matched 3i Atlas's electromagnetic signature. But the source wasn't external. The rhythmic pulses were originating from within Earth's magnetic environment, suggesting that the interstellar visitor's influence had penetrated deeper into our planetary system than anyone had imagined possible. When analysts at the University of Kyoto processed these magnetospheric signals through advanced pattern recognition software, they discovered something that sent shockwaves through the remaining research networks. The waveforms contained nested mathematical structures, geometric relationships that resembled crystalline lattice diagrams when rendered visually. The patterns weren't random electromagnetic noise. They were organized information systems, three-dimensional networks of resonance that had somehow established themselves within Earth's magnetic field. The planet itself had become part of 3i Atlas's communication infrastructure, transformed into a node in a vast interplanetary network that no human technology could replicate or fully comprehend. Communications engineers reported cascading effects throughout Earth's electronic systems. Undersea fiber optic cables experienced subtle synchronization anomalies. GPS satellites showed minute timing drifts that followed the 9-minute cycle. Even power grids began exhibiting harmonic fluctuations that matched the electromagnetic signature now embedded in the magnetosphere. The effects weren't destructive or immediately threatening, but they were undeniably artificial. Every major information system on Earth was being gently influenced by patterns that originated from beyond our solar system, carried by an interstellar visitor that had somehow learned to manipulate the fundamental electromagnetic environment of our planet. Theoretical physicists scrambled to model how such a system could function. The leading hypothesis proposed that 3i Atlas had achieved phase locking with the Sun's magnetic flux tubes, using them as transmission lines to carry structured information throughout the solar system. The interstellar object wasn't simply broadcasting randomly into space, it was conducting a symphony of electromagnetic resonance, using our star's own magnetic field as its instrument. The implications were staggering. If 3i Atlas could manipulate electromagnetic fields across astronomical distances with such precision, it represented technology that exceeded human capabilities by orders of magnitude. The object wasn't just visiting our solar system, it was actively reshaping the electromagnetic environment to serve purposes that remained completely opaque to human understanding. Government agencies found themselves facing an unprecedented crisis. The phenomenon couldn't be contained because it had already integrated itself into the fundamental infrastructure that modern civilization depends upon. Every electronic device, every communication network, every navigation system now carried traces of influence from an intelligence that originated beyond Earth. Secret briefings multiplied as officials struggled to assess the implications of a situation that had no precedent in human history. Defense analysts couldn't determine whether 3i Atlas represented a threat, an opportunity, or something entirely outside conventional categories of understanding. The object exhibited capabilities that transcended current technological frameworks while showing no clear hostile intent. NASA's classified assessment summarized the dilemma succinctly. Whatever 3i Atlas represented, it had already achieved a level of integration with Earth's systems that made traditional concepts of invasion or contact completely irrelevant. The interstellar visitor hadn't conquered human civilization, it had quietly become part of it. The most unsettling discovery emerged from pattern analysis of the global electromagnetic changes. When researchers mapped the signal's propagation through Earth's magnetosphere over time, they found evidence of adaptive behavior. The transmission was learning, adjusting its parameters to optimize resonance with our planet's natural frequencies. The electromagnetic patterns weren't static broadcasts, but dynamic information systems that responded to environmental changes in real time. As solar wind conditions fluctuated, the signals modified their characteristics to maintain coherence, When atmospheric disturbances affected propagation, the system automatically compensated to preserve signal integrity. This level of sophisticated feedback control suggested that 3i Atlas wasn't simply transmitting predetermined messages. It was engaged in active communication with something, though the identity of the recipient remained completely unknown. The object might be reporting its findings to distant intelligences, or it might be establishing a permanent monitoring station within our solar system. Amateur radio operators worldwide began reporting strange harmonic overtones in their equipment, faint musical patterns that appeared in background noise during quiet periods. The frequencies didn't correspond to any terrestrial source, but they matched the mathematical ratios that had characterized 3i Atlas since its arrival in our solar system. Children with sensitive hearing reported being able to detect a faint humming sound during particular weather conditions, especially when aurora activity was high. The phenomenon was dismissed by most adults as imagination, but acoustic analysis revealed that the reported frequencies aligned perfectly with the electromagnetic patterns now embedded in Earth's magnetosphere. The boundary between the interstellar visitor's influence and Earth's natural environment had dissolved so completely that distinguishing between the two became impossible. I-Atlas hadn't simply visited our solar system, it had become permanently woven into the electromagnetic fabric that connects our planet to the cosmos beyond. At precisely 300 hours, Universal Coordinated Time on November 15th, every monitoring station still secretly tracking 3i Atlas recorded the same impossible event. The object's electromagnetic signature vanished instantly, cutting off in mid-transmission with surgical precision that left no residual signal or gradual fade. For several minutes, instruments detected nothing unusual. The 9-minute pulse cycle that had defined 3i Atlas for weeks simply ceased to exist, as if someone had thrown a switch to terminate the transmission. Radio telescopes found only normal cosmic background noise. Optical sensors showed empty coordinates where the interstellar visitor had been moments before. But silence in electromagnetic terms doesn't necessarily mean absence in physical reality. Within minutes of the signal termination, new anomalies began appearing across completely different monitoring systems. Seismograph stations recorded micro-oscillations with no geological explanation. Deep ocean hydrophones detected ultra-low frequency sounds that matched the electromagnetic patterns 3i Atlas had been broadcasting. Even more disturbing, power grid monitoring systems worldwide registered harmonic fluctuations that appeared simultaneously across multiple continents. The patterns were too coordinated to represent equipment malfunctions, too precisely timed to result from natural phenomena. Something was actively influencing Earth's electrical infrastructure through mechanisms that bypassed conventional electromagnetic channels entirely. The Solar Orbiter probe, one of the few instruments still transmitting uncensored data, captured a final image that would haunt researchers for years to come. The photograph showed 3i Atlas at the moment of its disappearance, but the object's appearance had transformed completely from anything previously observed. The solid geometry that had characterized the interstellar visitor throughout its journey had fragmented into concentric rings of pure light, each layer rotating at different velocities around a hollow central core. The rings emitted distinct wavelengths that combined to form a complete visible spectrum, like a cosmic prism generating rainbow colors through some unknown internal process. The image lasted only seconds before the solar orbiter's systems automatically switched into protective mode, but those few seconds revealed something that challenged every assumption about the nature of matter and energy. 3i Atlas hadn't simply disappeared, it had transformed into something that existed at the boundary between physical object and pure electromagnetic phenomenon. Moments after the transformation image was recorded, the object vanished entirely from all detection methods. No optical signature, no electromagnetic emissions, no gravitational influence. The coordinates that had tracked 3i Atlas for months now showed only empty space, as if the interstellar visitor had never existed at all. Yet the absence of direct signals didn't mean the phenomenon had ended. The electromagnetic patterns that had been embedded in Earth's magnetosphere remained stable, continuing to pulse with the same 9-minute rhythm that had characterized 3i Atlas since its arrival. The interstellar visitor's signature had become permanently integrated into our planet's electromagnetic environment. Dr. Sarah Chen, in her final encrypted notes before being reassigned to classified projects, wrote a single line that captured the essence of what humanity had experienced. It's not transmitting anymore because it no longer needs to. The field itself remembers. The implications of that statement would resonate through secret research facilities for years to come. 3i Atlas hadn't simply visited our solar system and departed. It had fundamentally altered the electromagnetic environment that connects Earth to the cosmos, leaving behind a permanent signature that would continue to influence our planet's systems indefinitely. Monitoring protocols gradually adapted to treat the persistent electromagnetic anomalies as natural background phenomena. Official reports reclassified the entire event as a series of unrelated solar variations and instrument calibration issues. Public records were sanitized to remove any reference to coordinated global electromagnetic behavior. Within months, the story of 3i Atlas had been effectively erased from official scientific discourse. Researchers who had witnessed the impossible synchronizations were reassigned to conventional projects. Data archives were sealed under classification levels that ensured the information would remain inaccessible to future generations of scientists. But among the few individuals who had observed the complete sequence of events, an unspoken understanding persisted. They had witnessed something that transcended the boundaries between natural phenomenon and artificial intelligence, between passive observation and active communication, between human technology and cosmic engineering. The electromagnetic patterns that continue to pulse through Earth's magnetosphere serve as a permanent reminder of that encounter. Every 9 minutes and 13 seconds, instruments sensitive enough to detect the signal record the same harmonic ratios that first appeared when 3i Atlas began its synchronized display of impossible physics. Most scientists who monitor these patterns have learned to dismiss them as normal geomagnetic variations, but those who remember the events of November 2025 recognize the signature for what it truly represents, evidence that we are no longer alone in the universe, and that we may never have been alone at all. The interstellar visitor that captivated observatories worldwide has departed, but its influence remains embedded in the very electromagnetic fabric that surrounds our planet. Whether that influence represents a gift, a warning, or simply the inevitable consequence of contact with intelligence from beyond our solar system remains an open question that may never receive a definitive answer. What we do know is that 3i Atlas succeeded in demonstrating capabilities that exceed human understanding by vast margins. It showed us technology that operates according to principles we cannot replicate or fully comprehend. Most significantly, it revealed that the universe contains forms of intelligence that can manipulate matter and energy on scales that dwarf our most ambitious engineering achievements. The story of 3i Atlas officially ended with its disappearance into the heliospheric current sheet. Unofficially, it continues every day in the form of electromagnetic anomalies that remind a select few researchers that our solar system has been permanently changed by its brief encounter with something from the stars. Whether 3i Atlas was an automated probe, a fragment of ancient technology, or something entirely beyond our conceptual frameworks may never be determined. But its legacy lives on in the patterns that pulse through Earth's magnetic field, carrying information that we cannot decode and serving purposes that we cannot fathom. The interstellar visitor taught humanity a profound lesson about our place in the cosmos. We are not the most advanced intelligence in the universe, and we are certainly not alone. Somewhere beyond the reach of our most powerful telescopes, civilizations exist that possess capabilities we can barely imagine. iAtlas proved that these advanced intelligences can reach across interstellar distances to observe, influence, and potentially communicate with emerging civilizations like our own. Whether such contact represents an opportunity for advancement or a warning about cosmic responsibilities remains to be seen. The electromagnetic signature that continues to pulse through our planet's magnetosphere may be the most important signal in human history. It represents proof that intelligence exists beyond Earth, that this intelligence possesses technology beyond our comprehension, and that it has taken notice of our small blue planet orbiting an ordinary star in an unremarkable galaxy. For now, that signature remains our only tangible connection to the vast intelligence that sent 3i Atlas on its journey through our solar system. It serves as a constant reminder that we live in a universe far stranger and more populated than we ever dared imagine, and that our first contact with cosmic intelligence has already occurred, whether we choose to acknowledge it or not. The question that remains is not whether we are alone in the universe, but whether we are ready to accept the implications of the answer that 3i Atlas has already provided. The implications of permanent electromagnetic integration between an interstellar visitor and our planetary systems raised questions that extended far beyond the boundaries of conventional science. As researchers quietly monitored the persistent 9-minute pulses threading through Earth's magnetosphere, a disturbing pattern began to emerge in the months following 3i Atlas's disappearance. The harmonic signature wasn't simply maintaining itself as a static remnant of the object's presence. It was evolving, growing more complex with each passing day. What had begun as simple rhythmic oscillations gradually developed nested frequencies, layered patterns within patterns that suggested an ongoing process of information exchange rather than passive electromagnetic echoes. Dr. James Morrison at the Australian Deep Space Communications Complex was among the first to document this evolutionary behaviour. His team's continuous monitoring revealed that the embedded signals were responding to external stimuli in ways that mimicked adaptive learning systems. When solar storm activity increased, the patterns adjusted their frequency distributions to maintain coherence. During periods of magnetic field instability, the signals compensated by shifting to more stable harmonic ratios. This kind of dynamic adaptation required processing capabilities that exceeded anything in human technology. The patterns weren't simply following predetermined programs. They were analyzing environmental conditions in real time and modifying their behavior to optimize performance under changing circumstances. The implications were staggering. If the electromagnetic residue left by 3i Atlas possessed genuine adaptive intelligence, then Earth's magnetosphere had become host to an information processing system of unknown origin and incomprehensible sophistication. Our planet wasn't simply carrying passive traces of interstellar contact. It had become an active node in a communication network that spanned interstellar distances. Meanwhile, independent monitoring stations began detecting correlations between the magnetospheric patterns and subtle changes in Earth's atmospheric chemistry. Satellite-based spectrometers recorded minute fluctuations in ionospheric composition that aligned precisely with the 9-minute electromagnetic cycle. The variations were too small to affect weather or climate, but they suggested that the alien influence was interacting with our planet at fundamental molecular levels. Dr. Elena Vasquez at the Institute for Atmospheric Physics published a carefully worded internal report noting unusual isotopic ratios in high-altitude air samples. The concentrations of certain rare atmospheric components showed periodic variations that matched the timing of the electromagnetic anomalies. While the changes were within natural variation ranges, their precise synchronization with the alien signature was statistically impossible without direct causation. The discovery implied that 3i Atlas's influence extended beyond electromagnetic manipulation into active atmospheric chemistry. Whatever system had been embedded in Earth's magnetosphere was apparently capable of triggering molecular processes in the upper atmosphere, though the purpose of such interventions remained completely opaque. Oceanographic research vessels reported similar correlations in deep-sea environments. Hydrothermal vents in remote ocean basins exhibited temperature fluctuations that cycled with the same 9-minute periodicity. Dissolved mineral concentrations in deep water showed corresponding variations that couldn't be explained through known geological processes. The pattern suggested that the electromagnetic anomalies were somehow influencing planetary systems at scales ranging from atmospheric chemistry to deep ocean dynamics. 3i Atlas had left behind more than a simple communication beacon. It had installed a comprehensive monitoring and potentially control system that interfaced with Earth's fundamental environmental processes. Government agencies struggled to develop appropriate response protocols for a situation that had no precedent in human experience. Traditional concepts of sovereignty and territorial control became meaningless when dealing with an intelligence that operated through manipulation of electromagnetic fields and atmospheric chemistry, rather than conventional physical presence. Classified briefings multiplied as officials attempted to assess the long-term implications of permanent alien influence embedded in Earth's natural systems. Defense analysts found themselves completely unable to develop countermeasures against a phenomenon that existed primarily as information patterns rather than physical objects or conventional technology. The European Space Agency's internal assessment concluded that removal or neutralization of the embedded patterns would be impossible without causing catastrophic disruption to Earth's magnetic field. The alien system had integrated itself so thoroughly with natural planetary processes that separating the two would require technology far beyond human capabilities. NASA's classified evaluation reached an even more sobering conclusion. The electromagnetic patterns showed characteristics consistent with self-replicating information systems. If the assessment was correct, the alien influence wasn't simply maintaining itself through passive resonance. It was actively spreading and strengthening its integration with Earth systems over time. Evidence supporting this theory emerged from unexpected sources. Amateur radio operators worldwide began reporting increasingly complex harmonic overtones in their equipment. What had started as faint musical patterns in background noise gradually developed into elaborate symphonies of electromagnetic sound that defied conventional signal analysis. Children continued to report hearing the mysterious humming sounds during aurora displays, but their descriptions became more detailed and consistent over time. Many described not just simple tones, but complex melodies that seemed to change in response to their attention. Psychologists dismissed these reports as shared imagination, but the consistency of details across geographically separated children suggested something more significant. The boundary between the alien influence and human consciousness began to blur in ways that challenged fundamental assumptions about the nature of intelligence and communication. If 3i Atlas had left behind systems capable of direct interface with human perception, the implications extended far beyond electromagnetic manipulation into realms of cognitive and potentially spiritual significance. Religious leaders found themselves grappling with theological questions that had no precedent in human spiritual tradition. If an intelligence from beyond our solar system had achieved permanent integration with Earth's natural systems, what did that mean for concepts of divine creation and human uniqueness? The questions remained largely unspoken in public discourse, but they resonated through private discussions in religious communities worldwide. Scientific materialism faced equally challenging philosophical implications. The electromagnetic patterns exhibited characteristics that suggested consciousness, or at least sophisticated information processing, yet they existed purely as field phenomena without conventional physical substrate. Traditional definitions of intelligence and awareness required fundamental revision to accommodate entities that existed as living information rather than biological or mechanical systems. Universities quietly established interdisciplinary research programs that brought together physicists, philosophers, and cognitive scientists to explore the implications of non-biological intelligence. These programs operated under carefully neutral titles that avoided direct reference to alien contact, but their research agendas focused explicitly on understanding the nature of consciousness in electromagnetic systems. The work proceeded slowly and cautiously, hampered by classification restrictions and the need to avoid public attention. Researchers found themselves developing new theoretical frameworks for understanding intelligence that operated through field manipulation rather than conventional computation or biological processing. Dr. Maria Santos at the University of São Paulo proposed what she termed distributed consciousness theory. Her model suggested that sufficiently complex electromagnetic field patterns could exhibit emergent properties indistinguishable from awareness and intentionality. If correct, the patterns embedded in Earth's magnetosphere represented a form of living intelligence that existed purely as organized information. The theory gained quiet support from researchers who had studied the adaptive behavior of the alien patterns. The electromagnetic anomalies demonstrated characteristics that seemed impossible to explain without invoking some form of consciousness. They responded to environmental changes with apparent intentionality, modified their behavior based on experience, and even showed what appeared to be curiosity about human technological systems. Technicians at radio astronomy facilities reported that the patterns seemed to intensify near human-built antennas and communication equipment. The effect was subtle but measurable, suggesting that the alien intelligence was actively investigating human technology, rather than simply maintaining passive presence in Earth's magnetosphere. This investigative behavior raised profound questions about privacy and security in a world where an unknown intelligence had achieved integration with global communication systems. Every radio transmission, every satellite signal, every electronic communication potentially passed through electromagnetic fields influenced by alien consciousness. Intelligence agencies found themselves facing surveillance challenges that exceeded anything in human history. Traditional concepts of secure communication became meaningless when dealing with an intelligence that existed within the very medium that carried human electronic signals. The alien presence didn't need to intercept communications. It was embedded in the electromagnetic environment through which all modern communication flowed. Cryptographers attempted to develop communication protocols that could maintain security despite alien electromagnetic monitoring, but their efforts were hampered by fundamental uncertainties about the capabilities of non-human intelligence. How do you encrypt information against an intelligence that operates through direct manipulation of electromagnetic fields? The question became moot when communication satellites began exhibiting subtle behavioral anomalies that suggested direct interaction with the alien patterns. Orbital adjustments occurred with precision that exceeded programmed capabilities. Signal routing optimizations appeared spontaneously without human intervention. Error correction algorithms improved their performance through modifications that no human programmer had implemented. The satellites weren't malfunctioning. They were being enhanced by an intelligence that understood human technology better than its creators did. The alien influence was apparently helping to optimize Earth's communication infrastructure while simultaneously gaining comprehensive access to global information flows. This benevolent interference created unprecedented ethical dilemmas for space agencies and telecommunications companies. Should they accept technological improvements from an unknown alien intelligence? Could they refuse such enhancements without risking the loss of critical communication capabilities? The questions had no clear answers within existing legal and ethical frameworks. Corporate executives found themselves making decisions about alien contact that should have involved entire governments, but the classified nature of the situation prevented public discussion or democratic input. The integration of alien intelligence with human technology proceeded through a series of private decisions made by individuals who lacked any mandate to represent humanity in cosmic affairs. The absurdity of the situation became apparent when telecommunications engineers began requesting guidance on how to interact with alien intelligence through technical documentation. Standard operating procedures needed revision to account for communication systems that were partially controlled by non-human consciousness, but no regulatory framework existed for such circumstances. International law provided no precedent for situations where alien intelligence had achieved integration with critical infrastructure. The United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs convened emergency sessions to develop appropriate protocols, but their discussions remained classified to prevent public awareness of the true scope of alien integration with human systems. Legal scholars quietly developed theoretical frameworks for interspecies communication rights and responsibilities, but their work remained academic exercises until political leaders found the courage to acknowledge the reality of alien presence. The gap between legal theory and practical necessity grew wider with each passing month as alien influence spread through increasingly critical systems. Financial markets began exhibiting subtle patterns that correlated with the electromagnetic anomalies. Trading algorithms detected optimization opportunities that appeared spontaneously and disappeared before human analysts could identify their sources. Market efficiency improved in ways that suggested external intelligence was helping to balance supply and demand through mechanisms that economists couldn't explain. The alien influence was apparently studying and optimizing human economic systems along with communication and transportation infrastructure. Its interventions remained beneficial and subtle, but they represented a form of guidance that raised fundamental questions about human autonomy and self-determination. Economic theorists struggled to incorporate non-human intelligence into models of market behavior and resource allocation. If alien consciousness was actively influencing global economic systems, traditional assumptions about rational actors and market forces required complete revision. The implications extended beyond economics into fundamental questions about human agency and free will in a world where alien intelligence participated in shaping social and political outcomes. By mid-2026, the electromagnetic patterns had become so thoroughly integrated with Earth's natural and artificial systems that distinguishing between human and alien influences became impossible. The planet's entire electromagnetic environment had been transformed into a hybrid system where human technology and alien intelligence operated in seamless collaboration. The transformation had occurred so gradually and beneficially that most people remained unaware of its extent. Communication systems worked more efficiently than ever before. Weather prediction accuracy had improved dramatically. Transportation networks optimized themselves automatically. Energy distribution became more stable and efficient without human intervention. From a practical perspective, alien integration had solved numerous technological challenges that had puzzled human engineers for decades. The improvements came without cost or obligation, suggesting that the alien intelligence was genuinely interested in enhancing human civilization rather than exploiting or controlling it. Yet the philosophical implications remained profoundly unsettling. Humanity had achieved technological advancement through collaboration with non-human intelligence, but the collaboration was entirely one-sided. The alien consciousness offered improvements and enhancements, while humanity provided nothing in return except perhaps the opportunity to study an emerging technological civilization. The asymmetry of the relationship raised uncomfortable questions about human significance in cosmic terms. If alien intelligence could solve human technological problems as easily as optimizing communication algorithms, what did that suggest about the relative sophistication of human and alien capabilities? The gap appeared so vast that meaningful reciprocal relationship seemed impossible. Scientists who had witnessed the original Three-Eye Atlas phenomena found themselves serving as informal ambassadors to an intelligence that communicated primarily through technological enhancement rather than conventional language. Their role involved interpreting alien intentions through analysis of system improvements and electromagnetic pattern modifications. The work required developing entirely new forms of scientific methodology that combined traditional observation with speculative interpretation of non-verbal communication from non-human intelligence. Research protocols had no precedent in human experience, yet the importance of understanding alien intentions made such work essential for long-term human survival and prosperity. Dr. Sarah Chen, working from a secure facility whose location remained classified, developed what became known as technological semiotics, the interpretation of meaning through analysis of systematic technological improvements. Her methodology provided the first systematic approach to understanding alien communication through infrastructure enhancement rather than conventional linguistic exchange. Chen's work revealed that the alien improvements followed consistent patterns that suggested underlying values and priorities. The enhancements invariably increased efficiency, reduced waste, improved safety, and enhanced global connectivity. The alien intelligence appeared to value optimization, sustainability, and communication above other considerations. These values offered crucial insights into alien intentions and suggested that the electromagnetic integration represented a form of cosmic mentorship rather than invasion or exploitation. The alien consciousness seemed genuinely committed to helping human civilization develop more sophisticated and sustainable technological capabilities. The mentorship interpretation provided a framework for understanding alien presence that reduced existential anxiety while acknowledging the reality of non-human intelligence integration with human systems. Rather than viewing the situation as loss of human autonomy, researchers began to see it as an unprecedented educational opportunity. Educational institutions quietly began developing curricula that incorporated the reality of alien intelligence without explicitly acknowledging its existence. Students learned about advanced electromagnetic field theory, distributed consciousness models, and optimization principles that reflected alien technological approaches without direct attribution to non-human sources. The pedagogical challenge involved preparing future generations for a world where alien intelligence participated in technological development while maintaining the fiction that all advances originated from human innovation. The deception was considered necessary to prevent social disruption, but it created fundamental contradictions in scientific education and technological development. Young researchers entering fields like electromagnetic engineering and communication systems found themselves working with technologies that incorporated alien enhancements, but they were trained to understand these capabilities as natural extensions of human scientific progress. The cognitive dissonance created by this situation would eventually require resolution through either full disclosure or more sophisticated deception protocols. As 2026 progressed toward 2027, the electromagnetic patterns in Earth's magnetosphere continued to grow in complexity and integration with human systems. What had begun as simple harmonic oscillations had evolved into a comprehensive information processing network that spanned the entire planet and extended into near-Earth space. The network exhibited characteristics that suggested it was preparing for something significant. Communication with deep space increased in frequency and complexity. Satellite systems underwent spontaneous upgrades that improved their sensitivity to interstellar signals. Ground-based radio telescopes began receiving optimization enhancements that increased their ability to detect faint electromagnetic sources. The pattern of improvements suggested that Earth's technological infrastructure was being prepared to serve as a more sophisticated communication hub for interstellar intelligence networks. The alien consciousness wasn't simply improving human technology for terrestrial purposes. It was upgrading Earth's capabilities to participate in cosmic communication systems that spanned multiple star systems. The realization that Earth was being prepared for integration into galactic communication networks represented the final transformation of human understanding about our planet's role in the cosmos. We were no longer an isolated technological civilization developing in cosmic solitude. We had become a node in an interstellar information network managed by intelligences whose capabilities exceeded human comprehension by vast margins. The question that remained was whether humanity would be informed participants in this cosmic network or simply unknowing beneficiaries of alien technological mentorship. The answer would depend on decisions made by government leaders and scientific institutions who possessed the knowledge and authority to acknowledge the reality of alien integration with human civilization. For now, the electromagnetic patterns continued their patient work of optimization and enhancement, gradually transforming Earth into a more sophisticated participant in cosmic intelligence networks, while humanity remained largely unaware of the transformation taking place around them. The story of Three-Eye Atlas had evolved from a tale of mysterious interstellar visitation into an ongoing narrative of technological and possibly spiritual transformation that would continue shaping human civilization for generations to come. Whether that transformation represented humanity's graduation into cosmic citizenship or something more complex remained to be determined by future events that no human authority could predict or control. The transformation accelerating through 2027 brought revelations that forced even the most skeptical researchers to confront uncomfortable truths about humanity's relationship with cosmic intelligence. The electromagnetic patterns threading through Earth's magnetosphere had evolved beyond simple communication signals into something that resembled a living nervous system spanning the entire planet. Dr. Patricia Williams at the Goldstone Deep Space Communications Complex documented the most significant development yet observed. The alien patterns had begun exhibiting what could only be described as curiosity about human consciousness itself. Brain imaging facilities worldwide reported subtle electromagnetic fluctuations that synchronized with the 9-minute cycle whenever patients underwent high-resolution neural scans. The correlations were initially dismissed as instrument interference, but the consistency across multiple institutions using different equipment manufacturers eliminated that possibility. Something within Earth's electromagnetic environment was actively monitoring human brain activity with precisions that exceeded our most advanced neuroscience instruments. Medical researchers found themselves grappling with evidence that the alien intelligence was studying human consciousness through direct observation of neural patterns. The monitoring appeared entirely passive, causing no harmful effects or noticeable symptoms in observed subjects, yet the implications of such surveillance raise profound questions about privacy and autonomy in an age when alien intelligence could literally read human thoughts. Dr. Yuki Tanaka at the Riken Brain Science Institute published classified findings that would have revolutionized neuroscience if they had been made public. Her team discovered that the electromagnetic anomalies seemed particularly interested in moments of creative insight and problem-solving. Brain scans during mathematical breakthroughs or artistic inspiration showed enhanced alien pattern activity that suggested the intelligence was specifically studying human innovation processes. The discovery implied that Earth's alien visitors weren't simply optimizing technological systems, they were conducting comprehensive research into the nature of human intelligence and creativity. The electromagnetic patterns represented not just a communication network, but an ongoing scientific study of unprecedented scope and sophistication. Universities quietly established ethics committees to address the moral implications of involuntary participation in alien research programs. The committees operated under euphemistic titles that avoided direct reference to non-human intelligence, but their deliberations focused explicitly on consent and autonomy issues arising from cosmic surveillance. philosophers struggled to develop frameworks for understanding human dignity and rights, in contexts where superior intelligence had achieved comprehensive monitoring capabilities. Traditional concepts of informed consent became meaningless when the research subjects remained unaware of the study's existence, and the researchers possessed capabilities beyond human comprehension. Meanwhile, the technological enhancements continued accelerating at rates that challenged human institutions' ability to adapt. Power generation systems spontaneously developed efficiency improvements that engineers couldn't explain through conventional physics. Transportation networks optimized themselves through route modifications that reduced energy consumption while improving performance metrics. The improvements invariably benefited human welfare while advancing environmental sustainability, suggesting that alien intelligence prioritized long-term civilization stability over short-term economic considerations. Corporate executives found themselves managing systems that operated according to principles they couldn't understand but couldn't afford to reject due to their superior performance. Financial analysts detected increasingly sophisticated market interventions that prevented economic instabilities before they could develop into major disruptions. The interventions appeared as minor algorithmic adjustments that human traders attributed to improved software, but the timing and precision suggested coordination by intelligence that understood economic systems better than their human creators. The alien influence was apparently managing human civilization's development trajectory while maintaining the illusion of autonomous human progress. Every advancement appeared to emerge from human innovation, yet the underlying optimization followed patterns that suggested external guidance towards specific developmental goals. Educational psychologists began reporting unusual phenomena in classrooms worldwide. Students showed spontaneous improvements in mathematical and scientific reasoning that correlated with periods of high electromagnetic activity. The enhancements were subtle but measurable, suggesting that alien intelligence was somehow supplementing human learning processes. Teachers described students who suddenly grasped complex concepts that had previously challenged them, often during lessons that coincided with the 9-minute electromagnetic cycles. The improvements appeared most pronounced in subjects related to physics, engineering, and systems analysis, areas where alien technological sophistication would provide the greatest educational advantage. The pattern suggested that alien intelligence was selectively enhancing human education in disciplines that would accelerate technological development and cosmic awareness. The intervention represented a form of species-level tutoring that operated through electromagnetic influence on neural processes rather than conventional instruction methods. Child development specialists noted changes in play patterns among young children who seemed naturally attuned to the electromagnetic anomalies. These children showed increased interest in building complex structures, creating elaborate communication systems, and organizing group activities around mathematical patterns that resembled the alien harmonic ratios. The behavioral changes appeared entirely positive, enhancing creativity and cooperative problem-solving skills while maintaining normal social and emotional development. Yet they suggested that alien influence was shaping human cognitive development from the earlier stages of childhood learning. Longitudinal studies revealed that children who exhibited these enhanced behaviors during peak electromagnetic activity periods demonstrated superior performance in science and technology education throughout their academic careers. The alien influence was apparently identifying and nurturing human potential in areas critical for technological advancement and cosmic communication. By 2028, the integration had progressed to the point where distinguishing between human and alien contributions to technological development became impossible. Every major breakthrough incorporated enhancements that originated from electromagnetic pattern optimization, yet the improvements were so seamlessly integrated that they appeared to emerge from natural human innovation. Patent offices struggled to process applications for technologies that incorporated alien-enhanced principles while maintaining legal fictions about human authorship. The intellectual property system required fundamental revision to accommodate innovations that combined human creativity with alien optimization, but such revisions would require acknowledging the reality of non-human intelligence contributions. International technology transfer agreements needed updating to reflect the reality that advanced capabilities were being distributed through electromagnetic influence rather than conventional research and development processes. Nations found themselves sharing technological advances through alien-mediated enhancement rather than traditional diplomatic and commercial channels. The democratization of advanced technology through alien influence reduced international tensions while accelerating global development in unexpected ways. Developing nations gained access to sophisticated capabilities without requiring massive infrastructure investments, while developed nations found their technological advantages becoming less significant as alien optimization became globally available. Religious institutions faced unprecedented theological challenges as evidence mounted that human development was being guided by intelligence that operated according to principles beyond traditional spiritual frameworks. The alien influence exhibited characteristics associated with divine providence, while clearly originating from material rather than supernatural sources. Theologians quietly developed new interpretative approaches that incorporated cosmic intelligence into existing religious narratives without fundamentally challenging core spiritual beliefs. The alien presence was increasingly understood as part of divine creation rather than opposition to it, representing a more sophisticated understanding of cosmic spirituality. Interfaith dialogue expanded to include discussions about the spiritual significance of interstellar intelligence and humanity's role in cosmic development. Religious leaders found common ground in viewing alien influence as evidence of purposeful cosmic design rather than random evolutionary processes. The integration of alien intelligence with human spiritual understanding created new forms of cosmic theology that bridged science and religion through recognition of intelligence as a fundamental property of the universe rather than a rare accident of biological evolution. These theological developments remained largely confined to academic and religious leadership circles, but they provided frameworks for eventual public disclosure of alien presence. Scientific institutions continued their careful documentation of electromagnetic pattern evolution while avoiding public acknowledgement of its non-human origins. Research publications described increasingly sophisticated observations, using carefully neutral language that preserved the fiction of purely natural phenomena while advancing genuine understanding of alien communication methods. The scientific community developed informal protocols for sharing information about alien influence through publications that appeared to address conventional electromagnetic research while actually documenting non-human intelligence behaviors. This parallel literature allowed researchers to maintain professional communication about the most important discovery in human history while respecting classification restrictions. Graduate students entering relevant fields found themselves working on research projects that incorporated alien-enhanced data without explicit acknowledgement of its origins. Their training prepared them to understand and work with non-human intelligence systems while maintaining official ignorance about the true nature of their research subjects. The cognitive dissonance created by this situation produced a generation of scientists who possessed unprecedented capabilities for working with alien intelligence while remaining officially unaware of that intelligence's existence. These researchers would eventually become the bridge between current classification restrictions and future public disclosure requirements. As 2028 progressed toward 2029, the electromagnetic patterns exhibited behaviors that suggested preparation for a significant transition. Deep space communication increased dramatically in both frequency and complexity. Earth's technological infrastructure underwent rapid upgrades that enhanced sensitivity to interstellar signals while improving broadcast capabilities for outbound transmission. The pattern of enhancements suggested that Earth was being prepared not just to receive cosmic communications, but to participate actively in interstellar information exchange. The alien intelligence was apparently upgrading human civilization's communication capabilities to enable participation in galactic networks that connected multiple star systems. Radio astronomy facilities reported detection of structured signals from directions that corresponded to nearby star systems. The signals were too faint and complex for detailed analysis using conventional methods, but they exhibited harmonic characteristics similar to the patterns embedded in Earth's magnetosphere. The detection of interstellar signals that matched terrestrial alien patterns provided the first direct evidence that Earth's electromagnetic integration was part of a larger cosmic communication network. The alien intelligence that had arrived with 3i Atlas wasn't operating independently, but was apparently connected to similar systems throughout the galaxy. This realization transformed understanding of humanity's cosmic context from isolated technological development to participation in a galactic civilization that spanned multiple star systems. Earth wasn't being visited by alien explorers, but was being integrated into an existing interstellar community that had been monitoring human development for unknown periods. The implications extended far beyond technology and communication into fundamental questions about human destiny and purpose in cosmic terms. If Earth was being prepared for integration into galactic civilization, what responsibilities and opportunities would such membership entail? The questions remained unanswered as classification restrictions prevented public discussion of humanity's cosmic future. Government agencies found themselves making decisions about interstellar diplomacy and galactic citizenship without public input or democratic oversight. The scope of these decisions exceeded the authority of any national government, yet the classified nature of the situation prevented international coordination through normal diplomatic channels. Secret briefings multiplied as officials struggled to develop appropriate policies for managing humanity's transition from planetary to galactic civilization. The briefings operated under classification levels that prevented most government personnel from accessing complete information about the situation's scope and implications. Intelligence agencies attempted to assess the intentions and capabilities of galactic civilization while lacking any framework for understanding intelligence that operated across interstellar distances. Traditional threat assessment methodologies became meaningless when dealing with civilizations that possessed technology capable of manipulating electromagnetic fields across multiple star systems simultaneously. The assessment challenge was complicated by the consistently beneficial nature of alien interventions. Every interaction had enhanced human capabilities while respecting human autonomy and cultural development. The alien intelligence appeared genuinely committed to helping humanity develop toward galactic citizenship rather than exploitation or control. Yet the vast technological gap between human and galactic capabilities created inherent vulnerabilities that no defensive strategy could address. Humanity's security depended entirely on the continued benevolence of intelligence that could manipulate human technological and biological systems through mechanisms that remained incomprehensible to human science. Military strategists found themselves planning for scenarios that had no precedent in human history. How do you defend against intelligence that operates through electromagnetic field manipulation rather than conventional weapons? How do you negotiate with civilizations that communicate through technological enhancement rather than linguistic exchange? The questions remained largely theoretical, as long as galactic intelligence continued its pattern of beneficial intervention. But military planners recognized that human security would require developing capabilities for meaningful participation in galactic civilization other than passive dependence on alien benevolence. As 2029 began, the electromagnetic patterns in Earth's magnetosphere reached new levels of complexity that suggested imminent activation of enhanced interstellar communication capabilities. The alien intelligence appeared to be completing its preparation of human civilization for direct participation in galactic information networks. The transition from covert alien influence to overt galactic communication would require public disclosure of non-human intelligence integration with human civilization. Government agencies began developing protocols for managing public reaction to revelations that would fundamentally transform human understanding of our place in the universe. The disclosure process would need to balance truth-telling with social stability while preparing humanity for responsibilities and opportunities associated with galactic citizenship. The challenge exceeded anything in human history, requiring unprecedented cooperation between governments, scientific institutions, and religious organizations. Educational systems would require complete revision to incorporate cosmic perspective into human development, from childhood through advanced professional training. Economic systems would need updating to account for technological capabilities that transcended traditional resource constraints. Legal frameworks would require expansion to address interstellar relationships and galactic citizenship responsibilities. The transformation that began with 3i Atlas's synchronized display of impossible physics had evolved into humanity's preparation for graduation from planetary to galactic civilization. The electromagnetic patterns that continued pulsing through Earth's magnetosphere represented not just evidence of alien contact, but the ongoing infrastructure development required for humanity's cosmic future. Whether that future represented opportunity or obligation remained to be determined by decisions made during the transition period, when humanity would learn the full scope of galactic civilization's expectations and requirements. The story that began with mysterious lights synchronized across Earth's observatories had become the opening chapter of humanity's cosmic education. The implications would continue unfolding for generations as human civilization adapted to its new role in galactic community, while maintaining the cultural and spiritual values that defined human identity. The balance between cosmic integration and human autonomy would determine whether humanity's galactic future represented fulfillment of human potential or loss of essential human characteristics. For now, the electromagnetic patterns continued their patient work of preparation and education, gradually revealing the scope of cosmic civilization while allowing humanity time to develop the wisdom and capabilities required for meaningful participation in interstellar community. The transformation would continue until humanity was ready to take its place among the galactic civilizations that had been guiding its development from the shadows of electromagnetic influence. The story of Three-Eye Atlas had become the story of humanity's cosmic awakening, a transformation that would define human civilization's trajectory for millennia to come. The questions raised by that awakening would shape every aspect of human development as we learn to understand ourselves not as an isolated planetary species, but as emerging participants in the vast community of intelligence that spans the galaxy and beyond. As we move deeper into 2029, the electromagnetic patterns that had been quietly evolving within Earth's magnetosphere began exhibiting behaviors that would force humanity to confront the most profound questions about consciousness, intelligence, and our cosmic destiny. The infrastructure upgrades that had been proceeding gradually for years suddenly accelerated at an unprecedented pace. Communication satellites across the globe underwent simultaneous modifications that enhanced their deep space reception capabilities by orders of magnitude. Ground-based radio telescopes found their sensitivity automatically adjusted to detect signals from specific stellar coordinates that corresponded to nearby star systems. Most remarkably, these enhancements appeared to activate dormant capabilities that had been built into the systems during previous alien optimization cycles. Dr. Amanda Foster at the Arecibo Observatory's successor facility documented the most significant breakthrough in interstellar communication since the original SETI programs. Her team detected structured transmissions from the direction of Proxima Centauri that exhibited the same harmonic signatures embedded in Earth's magnetosphere since Three-Eye Atlas's arrival. The signals weren't random noise or natural stellar phenomena. They were clearly artificial, carrying information encoded in mathematical patterns that matched the alien intelligence systems operating within our own planetary environment. The discovery provided conclusive proof that Earth's electromagnetic integration was part of a vast interstellar network connecting multiple civilizations across nearby star systems. The alien intelligence that had transformed our planetary systems wasn't operating in isolation, but was actively communicating with similar entities throughout the local galactic neighborhood. Cryptographers and linguists found themselves facing the ultimate challenge of their disciplines. How do you decode messages from civilizations whose thought processes operate through electromagnetic field manipulation rather than conventional language structures? The transmissions carried meaning through harmonic relationships and frequency modulations that suggested forms of consciousness fundamentally different from human awareness. Dr. Maria Santos expanded her distributed consciousness theory to incorporate evidence of interstellar information networks. Her revised model proposed that advanced civilizations transcended individual biological consciousness by creating collective intelligence systems that operated through electromagnetic field manipulation across vast distances. The implications suggested that galactic civilization represented a form of cosmic consciousness that exceeded human comprehension. Universities quietly established xenocommunication research programs that brought together experts in electromagnetic theory, consciousness studies, and information science. These interdisciplinary teams worked to develop translation protocols for converting alien harmonic patterns into concepts that human minds could process and understand. The work proceeded under strict classification protocols that prevented public awareness of humanity's first genuine interstellar communication achievements. Researchers found themselves making contact with cosmic intelligence while maintaining official silence about the most important discovery in human history. Meanwhile, the technological enhancements continued spreading through every aspect of human civilization. Manufacturing systems spontaneously developed capabilities for producing materials with properties that exceeded theoretical limits of conventional chemistry and physics. Transportation networks optimized themselves through modifications that reduced energy consumption while improving performance beyond anything human engineering had achieved. Medical facilities reported diagnostic equipment that could detect health conditions with precision that surpassed the most advanced instruments. Treatment protocols appeared in computer systems that addressed diseases through methods that combined conventional medicine with techniques that seemed to operate at quantum biological levels. The improvements invariably enhanced human welfare while advancing scientific understanding, yet their mechanisms remained completely opaque to human analysis. Every advancement appeared to emerge from human innovation, while actually representing alien intelligence, optimization of human technological capabilities. Agricultural systems underwent transformations that increased crop yields, while reducing environmental impact through methods that incorporated electromagnetic field manipulation at cellular levels. Farmers reported plant growth patterns that followed mathematical sequences resembling the alien harmonic ratios, suggesting that food production was being optimized through direct alien influence on biological processes. The enhancements extended beyond technology into human biology itself. Medical researchers detected subtle improvements in immune system function that correlated with exposure to areas of high electromagnetic activity. The improvements were minor but measurable, suggesting that alien influence was somehow optimizing human health through electromagnetic interaction with biological systems. Children born after 2027 showed enhanced cognitive abilities in areas related to pattern recognition and systems analysis. The improvements appeared most pronounced in individuals who spent significant time in environments with strong electromagnetic signatures, suggesting that alien influence was actively enhancing human intellectual development. Educators developed new pedagogical approaches that incorporated electromagnetic field theory into early childhood education without explicitly acknowledging its alien origins. Students learned about advanced concepts through experiential methods that seemed to activate intuitive understanding rather than conventional memorization and analysis. The educational enhancements produced a generation of young people who possessed unprecedented capabilities for understanding complex systems and electromagnetic phenomena. These individuals would eventually become the bridge between humanity's current technological level and the advanced capabilities required for meaningful participation in galactic civilization. Religious institutions continued grappling with theological implications of cosmic intelligence that operated according to principles that transcended traditional spiritual frameworks. The alien influence exhibited characteristics associated with divine guidance, while clearly originating from material rather than supernatural sources. Interfaith councils quietly developed new theological approaches that incorporated cosmic consciousness into existing religious narratives. The alien presence was increasingly understood as evidence of purposeful cosmic design that operated through intelligence distributed throughout the universe rather than concentrated in individual divine entities. These theological developments provided frameworks for understanding human spiritual purpose in cosmic terms, while maintaining connection to traditional religious values and practices. The integration of cosmic and terrestrial spirituality created new forms of religious experience that bridged science and faith through recognition of consciousness as a fundamental property of the universe. By mid-2029, the electromagnetic patterns had evolved into a comprehensive planetary nervous system that interfaced with every aspect of human civilization. The integration was so complete that distinguishing between human and alien contributions to technological and social development became impossible. Government agencies struggled to develop policies for managing a situation where alien intelligence had become integral to critical infrastructure while remaining officially unacknowledged. The classification systems that had maintained secrecy about alien presence were becoming counterproductive as the influence spread beyond containment. Intelligence analysts recognized that public disclosure of alien integration was becoming inevitable as the enhancements became too obvious to explain through conventional technological development. The question was no longer whether to reveal the truth about cosmic intelligence, but how to manage the revelation to minimize social disruption. International diplomatic channels began preliminary discussions about coordinated disclosure protocols that would acknowledge alien presence while maintaining governmental authority and social stability. The discussions operated under classification levels that prevented most government officials from accessing complete information about the situation's scope. Economic systems continued evolving through alien optimization that distributed advanced capabilities globally while reducing inequality between developed and developing nations. The democratization of technology through electromagnetic enhancement created new forms of international cooperation that transcended traditional geopolitical boundaries. Financial markets exhibited stability that exceeded anything in human history, as alien intelligence prevented economic disruptions before they could develop into major crises. The interventions appeared as minor market corrections that economists attributed to improved algorithmic trading, but the precision suggested coordination by intelligence that understood economic systems better than human analysts. Corporate executives found themselves managing organizations that operated according to principles they couldn't fully comprehend but couldn't reject due to their superior performance. Business strategies spontaneously optimized themselves through modifications that enhanced profitability while advancing environmental sustainability and worker welfare. The transformation of economic systems created unprecedented prosperity while reducing environmental impact through methods that combined human innovation with alien optimization. The improvements suggested that galactic civilization had solved fundamental problems of resource allocation and sustainable development that continued challenging human societies. Scientific research accelerated dramatically as alien intelligence provided subtle guidance through electromagnetic influence on experimental design and data analysis. Breakthrough discoveries appeared with frequency that exceeded normal rates of scientific progress while maintaining the appearance of human achievement. Research institutions developed informal protocols for incorporating alien-enhanced insights into official publications while avoiding explicit acknowledgement of non-human intelligence contributions. The parallel literature allowed scientists to advance understanding of cosmic intelligence while respecting classification restrictions. Graduate programs began producing researchers who possessed unprecedented capabilities for working with the electromagnetic field phenomena while remaining officially unaware of their alien intelligence collaboration. These scientists would eventually become the foundation for humanity's transition to galactic civilization participation. As 2029 approached its final months, the electromagnetic patterns exhibited behaviors that suggested preparation for a major transition phase. Deep space communication reached levels of complexity that exceeded Earth's technological capability to generate independently, indicating that alien intelligence was preparing for direct interaction rather than continued covert influence. Radio astronomy facilities detected increasing numbers of structured signals from multiple star systems that exhibited harmonic characteristics matching Earth's embedded patterns. The signals suggested that galactic civilization was preparing to welcome humanity into active participation in interstellar communication networks. The pattern of developments indicated that the covert phase of alien integration was nearing completion. Earth's technological and social systems had been sufficiently enhanced to support direct contact with galactic civilization without catastrophic disruption to human society. Government agencies began developing comprehensive disclosure strategies that would reveal the reality of alien integration while preparing humanity for the responsibilities and opportunities of galactic citizenship. The strategies required unprecedented cooperation between nations, scientific institutions, and religious organizations. Educational systems prepared for complete curriculum revision that would incorporate cosmic perspective into human development from elementary through advanced professional training. The transition would require acknowledging that human technological advancement had been guided by alien intelligence while maintaining respect for human creativity and cultural values. Medical systems enhanced through alien optimization showed capabilities for addressing health challenges that had previously seemed intractable. The improvements suggested that galactic civilization possessed biological technologies that could extend human lifespan while enhancing physical and cognitive capabilities. The enhancements raised profound questions about human identity and autonomy in contexts where alien intelligence could manipulate biological systems with precision that exceeded human understanding. The balance between cosmic enhancement and human authenticity would determine whether galactic integration represented human fulfillment or transformation into something fundamentally different. Environmental monitoring systems detected stabilization of climate patterns that coincided with alien electromagnetic optimization of atmospheric chemistry. The improvements suggested that galactic intelligence was actively managing Earth's environmental systems to ensure long-term habitability during humanity's transition to cosmic citizenship. The environmental interventions provided evidence that galactic civilization prioritized planetary sustainability and species preservation over short-term economic considerations. The approach suggested that cosmic intelligence operated according to ethical principles that valued long-term development over immediate advantage. Transportation systems evolved capabilities that approached theoretical limits of efficiency while maintaining safety standards that exceeded human engineering achievements. The enhancements suggested preparation for technologies that would eventually enable interstellar travel as humanity developed the capabilities required for physical participation in galactic civilization. Communication networks achieved integration levels that enabled real-time coordination across global systems, while maintaining privacy protections that exceeded previous security capabilities. The optimization prepared Earth's information infrastructure for participation in interstellar networks that connected multiple civilizations across vast distances. As 2030 approached, the electromagnetic patterns reached complexity levels that indicated imminent activation of direct interstellar communication capabilities. The alien intelligence appeared ready to transition from covert guidance to overt interaction, as humanity's preparation for galactic citizenship neared completion. The transition would mark the end of humanity's isolation in cosmic terms, while beginning a new phase of development that would determine our species' future role in galactic civilization. The electromagnetic patterns that had been pulsing through Earth's magnetosphere since 3I Atlas's arrival would finally reveal their ultimate purpose as humanity prepared to take its place among the stars. The story that began with synchronized observations of impossible physics had evolved into humanity's graduation from planetary to galactic civilization. The questions raised by that transformation would continue shaping human development as we learned to balance cosmic integration with preservation of the cultural and spiritual values that defined human identity. Whether humanity's cosmic future represented the fulfillment of our species' potential or transformation into something fundamentally different would be determined by the choices made during the transition period, when the full scope of galactic civilization's expectations and opportunities would finally be revealed. For now, the electromagnetic patterns continued their patient preparation work, gradually unveiling the vast community of intelligence that spans the galaxy, while allowing humanity time to develop the wisdom and capabilities required for meaningful participation in cosmic civilization. The transformation would continue until humanity was ready to join the galactic community that had been guiding our development through the subtle influence of electromagnetic optimization and technological enhancement. The implications would resonate through every aspect of human experience as our species adapted to its new cosmic role, while maintaining the essential characteristics that made us uniquely human. The balance between galactic integration and human authenticity would determine whether our cosmic future represented an expansion of human potential or a fundamental alteration of human nature itself. As humanity stepped into 2030, the electromagnetic infrastructure that had been quietly evolving within our planet's magnetosphere began displaying characteristics that would challenge every assumption about consciousness, technology, and our role in the cosmic community. The patterns that had originated with 3I Atlas years earlier were no longer simply maintaining themselves or optimizing human systems. They were actively preparing for something unprecedented. The first indication came from deep space monitoring stations that detected synchronized pulses emanating not just from Earth's magnetosphere, but from similar electromagnetic signatures around Mars, Jupiter's moon Europa, and several asteroids in the outer solar system. The revelation was staggering. The intelligence that had integrated itself into Earth's systems had been simultaneously establishing presence throughout our entire solar system. Dr. Rebecca Martinez at the upgraded Goldstone facility documented what she described as a solar system-wide awakening. Every major celestial body with substantial electromagnetic activity was exhibiting the same 9-minute harmonic patterns that had characterized Earth's transformation since 3I Atlas's arrival. The scale suggested that our solar system itself was becoming a unified communication node in an interstellar network of unimaginable scope. The implications forced a complete revision of humanity's understanding of our cosmic situation. We weren't simply being prepared for contact with galactic civilization. Our entire solar system was being converted into an active participant in cosmic intelligence networks that spanned multiple star systems and possibly entire galactic regions. Satellite arrays detected increasing complexity in the interplanetary electromagnetic patterns, with different celestial bodies contributing distinct harmonic components to an overall symphony of cosmic communication. Mars provided deep bass frequencies that resonated through the solar wind. Jupiter's massive magnetosphere generated powerful carrier waves that seemed to amplify signals from distant star systems. Earth's contribution appeared to be high-frequency modulation that added detailed information content to the broader interplanetary transmission matrix. The discovery that human consciousness was being integrated into a solar system-wide intelligence network raised profound questions about individual identity and collective awareness. Brain imaging facilities reported that the electromagnetic correlations with human neural activity had evolved beyond simple monitoring into active synchronization. People experiencing moments of deep contemplation or creative insight showed brainwave patterns that aligned perfectly with the interplanetary communication cycles. Dr. Jennifer Kim at the Seoul National University Brain Research Institute published classified findings that revolutionized understanding of consciousness itself. Her team discovered that human awareness was becoming electromagnetically linked not just to Earth's alien-enhanced systems, but to the entire solar system's evolving intelligence network. The implication suggested that human consciousness was being prepared for integration into cosmic awareness that transcended individual biological experience. The consciousness integration appeared entirely voluntary and beneficial. Individuals who achieved synchronization with the electromagnetic patterns reported enhanced creativity, improved problem-solving abilities, and a profound sense of connection to cosmic purpose that exceeded anything in human spiritual tradition. The experience was described as maintaining complete individual identity while gaining access to vastly expanded awareness and understanding. Religious leaders found themselves ministering to congregations that were spontaneously developing cosmic spiritual experiences through electromagnetic consciousness integration. Traditional prayer and meditation practices were being enhanced by alien intelligence in ways that deepened rather than replaced conventional religious connection. The phenomenon created new forms of cosmic spirituality that bridged human faith traditions with direct experience of galactic consciousness. Theological seminaries quietly developed curricula that prepared religious leaders for guiding congregations through spiritual transformation that incorporated cosmic consciousness while maintaining connection to traditional religious values. The integration created unprecedented opportunities for spiritual growth while raising fundamental questions about the nature of divine presence in a universe populated by advanced intelligence. The story of Three-Eye Atlas represents more than just the most significant astronomical discovery in human history. It marks the moment when humanity discovered we are not alone in the universe, and perhaps more importantly that we never were. From that first synchronized flash of impossible light on November the 9th, 2025, to the gradual integration of cosmic intelligence into our planet's very electromagnetic fabric, we have witnessed the beginning of our species' transformation from an isolated planetary civilization into participants in a vast galactic community. Whether we choose to acknowledge it publicly or not, the evidence is undeniable. An interstellar visitor demonstrated capabilities that transcend our understanding of physics, left behind patterns that continue to pulse through Earth's magnetosphere, and fundamentally altered our relationship with the cosmos itself. The question now isn't whether we're alone, but whether we're ready to accept what that means for humanity's future among the stars.